Good morning. It is Wednesday, June the 2nd. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. Prime Minister Mia Amora-Motley has spoken out against a Bajan dance hall video containing violent lyrics, and she says the matter has made it impossible for her to remain silent. Prime Minister Motley says she is horrified at the video and expressed her disappointment in the artists involved. Here's what she had to say.
These artists, many of them, have labored in the vineyard, struggled in the periphery, and have reached a point where they have achieved, in some instances, national acclaim. But national acclaim carries with it the burden of responsibility. And while there may be some who may claim that there is artistic license for artists, let us remember that not everyone in our society understands the use of artistic license or sarcasm. And that is why, for example, we often have to speak recognizing that there are some among us for whom there is not the maturity or not the wisdom to recognize that this is not how you behave in a civilized society.
The Prime Minister says there should be a zero-tolerance approach to gun violence in Barbados, saying government will not support anyone who fails to apologize.
I'm not asking you to apologize to me nor to the government, but you need to apologize to the people of Barbados because there are too many victims of gun crime in this country, as recent as today. And this country cannot in any way have any level of tolerance for anyone who promotes gun violence in any form. Well, I don't even like toy guns, far less real guns. And the bottom line is that we also have to recognize that persons who have put this video up have a responsibility to take it down. And in addition, therefore, to the apology, I expect you to take it down.
Criticism this morning also coming from the church, as the Anglican bishop, the Right Reverend Michael Maxwell, has also called for the video to be removed and an apology issued by those behind the Trojan Rhythm mix video. He says such a song and video to be produced by some of the island's top artists hurts to the core.
I personally believe that our nation deserves an apology from these artists for producing and releasing such a distasteful, vulgar, and uncivil video with such a high level of obscene language that sends a negative and damaging message viral as it incites immorality, gun violence, the seeking of revenge, and taking the lives of those referred to as informants or snitches. You know, what struck me the most was that one of the artists in earlier years penned a song with the hook line, "Me not know how the youths get so." And the answer is there once again. They have gotten so because of the negative influences they receive from many of us, who as adults should know much better.
Meanwhile, there's news of a positive development in the entertainment sector. Stakeholders are being told that they should have some concrete answers very soon on crop over 2021. Confirmation of this from the Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for culture, John King.
Some stuff back from the board. We are also still waiting on the Ministry of Health and the health officials to give us a sense of, if there's any possibilities for any, outdoor events or anything. If there is, how, numbers, that sort of information. But we definitely have, like I said before, been working seriously on looking at all the different alternatives that we can have, and we will be ready to give some statements very soon with concrete things, but we're still in planning stages.
And of course, we will give you the latest update on that when we get the details right here on the Morning Report. We'll take a break here and come back with your local and regional as well as those international COVID-19 updates. Barbados did not record any new positive COVID-19 cases Monday for a second consecutive day. The Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory on that occasion, that Monday, conducted 367 tests. Meanwhile, there are currently 39 people in isolation. So Barbados has recorded a total of 4,017 confirmed COVID-19 cases, with none added on Sunday or Monday. And of course, these cases were recorded since March last year. 47 people have succumbed to the virus. The Public Health Laboratory has carried out a total of 170,840 tests. The number of people vaccinated under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19 stands at 78,633. These include 60,720 people who received both doses of the vaccine. And health authorities are very happy with the COVID-19 positivity rate, which is trending down.
Fortunately, within the last 2 to 3 days, our positivity rate has been trending downward even further, which we are very, very happy about. But it is not a time to become complacent. So therefore, we urge all Barbadians, first, understand what you can do at a personal level with respect to making sure that your families and households are safe. Understand where your shelters are, so that if that is necessary, you can proceed to the shelter and you know where you can ride out a potential storm.
Over in Guyana, the single-dose Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine will soon be added to the list of jabs being offered to Guyanese as the government there ramps up its effort to bring the virus under control.
Through the African Union mechanism, Guyana is set to receive an additional 150,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines to boost its immunization response to the virus. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony on Monday during his COVID-19 update highlighted that government has paid a down payment for the vaccines, which are expected to arrive in June.
And through that partnership, the African Union is making 1.5 million doses of vaccines to the Caribbean. And of that set, Guyana is going to get approximately 150,000 doses. And last week we made a down payment on those doses. So we are hopeful that during June that we'll be able to get those vaccines.
A sum of $7.5 million was paid to secure the vaccines. Unlike Sinopharm, AstraZeneca, and Sputnik vaccines, the Johnson & Johnson jab is administered as a single dose. It was 85% effective in stopping severe illness from COVID-19 in trials.
Now, many Southeastern Asian nations that were seen as coronavirus success stories are now being forced to impose new restrictions as infections there surge to record levels. Over in Malaysia, a 2-week nationwide total lockdown has come into effect, and Vietnam has suspended all international flights.
No international flights are being allowed to land for a week in Vietnam's capital, Hanoi. The announcement on Tuesday follows a similar ban by Ho Chi Minh City a few days ago. Infections in Vietnam remained low for most of last year, but have risen since late April. Taiwan, once lauded for its success in containing the virus, saw clusters emerge once it relaxed its pandemic restrictions.
When you're very successful, you are not forced to improve. Only when you fear, then are you forced to improve. We were too successful in the past year.
In Malaysia, a 2-week lockdown beginning on Tuesday means only essential services and businesses are allowed to operate.
Health officials here say the surge in cases is caused by more infectious variants and people breaching pandemic restrictions to celebrate the Muslim festival of Eid last month.
Malaysia has recorded nearly 2,800 deaths from COVID-19. 40% of those were in May alone. Vaccination rates in Asia remain low. On average, only 6% of the population has received at least one vaccine dose. Experts say containment of the virus must therefore be prioritized for now.
It's 12 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. Time to hear from Pearson about what's coming up on today's edition of Morning Barbados. Pearson?
Thank you, Shane. Well, coming up a little later on when you join me, you'll hear the story of a survivor of myasthenia gravis. What is it? It's a debilitating health condition. She'll talk to us about the symptoms and how she's been able to push through. Speaking of pushing through, how do you get to a strong finish? There are 12 keys to help you do so, and the author of the book, 12 Keys to a Strong Finish, will join me as one by one we find that key to unlock our lifelong potential towards that strong finish. And also today we'll meet a Barbadian who lives in Pittsburgh who's just won a huge award, and so today we will celebrate who she is. We'll have that and a whole lot more when you join me on Morning Barbados. Back to you, Shane.
Thank you, Pearson. And after the break, we'll talk about Barbados's preparedness for the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. The 2021 hurricane season is underway, and from all reports, Barbados is prepared. The Minister of Home Affairs, Information and Public Affairs, Wilfred Abrams, says some ash and drains are still to be cleared, but community district organizations and district emergency organizations and shelters are ready. He was addressing a news conference to mark the start of the hurricane season. We have a report from Trevor Thorpe.
Authorities are warning Barbadians to be prepared amidst predictions of an above-average hurricane season.
In this season, complacency is our enemy. There is no room for complacency in this hurricane season. We have to get ourselves ready, and we have to remain ready until the end of the hurricane season. I'm asking you to please pay attention to the information and tips from the Barbados Government Information Service, the Public Affairs Department and the Office of the Prime Minister, as well as our legitimate and credible partners, to keep yourselves informed and prepared.
Minister of Home Affairs, Information and Public Affairs, Wilfred Abrams, made the comments at a press conference to mark the start of the 2021 hurricane season. Saying government can't do it alone, the minister drew attention to the hurricane preparedness booklet and the public awareness campaign.
We pray that Barbados will not be subject to any devastating impact this hurricane season. But in the event that we are affected, we as a country are ready and prepared to respond and to recover.
Director of Meteorological Services, Sabu Best, said sea temperatures are at present warmer and above normal, with projections for systems in August and September.
These predictions are more, it's actually indicating that it's more likely that you will have flooding, or higher probability, if you may, in the central and northern sections of the island. But it's not to rule out that you will get flooding yourself. That will happen sometime in the year. Eventually it will.
He's also warning about tropical cyclones, increased rainfall and flooding in central and northern parts of the island.
We really want residents not only to be on the watch out or look out for tropical cyclones, but also to look out for these flood events. In particular, when we have these localized convective events, which can happen in quick time, in 30 minutes or less, you can have significant flooding, and it can be life-threatening flooding at that. We try our best to get messages out there as soon as possible, but we need all residents, visitors to remain really vigilant during this time.
The 2021 hurricane season ends November 30th. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
The government of Barbados is being asked to provide more details regarding its investment in the Antigua-based regional airline Liat. The government's chief auditor in its 2020 annual report is questioning a lack of full disclosure by the state regarding the true level of its investment in the airline. According to the Auditor General's report, the state's investment in the airline was recorded in the financial statements as at 31st of March 2019 as Barbados $214.342 million. But Auditor General Lee Trotman reportedly has a problem with the nature of the accounting entry. As he said, the figure was based on capital injections into the entity. He notes that since the agency has faced financial difficulties and other challenges, the amounts listed should have been representative of the fair value rather than the sums injected. He also said issues related to Liat were not adequately disclosed in the notes of the financial statements. Postmortems are expected to be completed by Wednesday on the 14 bodies and skeletal remains discovered by Tobago fishermen last Friday. As a police press briefing held in Tobago yesterday, the Assistant Commissioner of Police there, William Nurse, said the toxicology reports may be needed as a result of the advanced state of decomposition.
ACP William Nurse said through a collaborative effort, it was determined that the vessel towed to shore bearing the 14 bodies originated from Mauritania in Africa.
The boat, according to our information, was believed to have been stolen, and there is an investigation underway in that country in respect of that boat.
He said the TTPS cybercrime unit was also able to confirm that a cell phone found in the boat was registered in Mauritania. However, the Tobago police had explained that they are yet to confirm the identities of the dead and if they were citizens of Mauritania.
We cannot say whether the individual bodies were citizens, are bodies of citizens from Mauritania. What we will do is, the best way to respond to that is to do cadaver fingerprints. And having done that, we have secured identity, whether known or unknown, and in collaboration with those agencies from those countries, we may be able to come up with a specific name as per the fingerprint.
ACP Nurse said Tobago police continue to make efforts through the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs to establish connections with Mauritanian authorities. He also gave the assurance that the foreign boat has been sanitized and would be handed over to the owners once possible.
As Americans emerge from pandemic isolation, the U.S. Surgeon General says there's another epidemic that must now be addressed, that of loneliness.
From the pandemic to xenophobia and racial injustice, the past year has been hard on many.
Trauma, whether it's physical trauma or emotional trauma, has an impact on our overall health.
As more Americans emerge from isolation, U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy says we need to address a new epidemic, loneliness.
You may have been discriminated against based on the color of your skin or based on the fact that you have a name that sounds different from others, or maybe that you have an accent that sounds a bit different. Those moments are moments where we tell people that they don't belong. And that has a very powerful effect, on our cohesion as communities, as an impact on people's mental health.
Everyone has a different response to trauma. Dr. Murthy says some reach out, others isolate.
That loneliness is that it's linked to not only increases in depression and anxiety, but to shorter lifespans, to an increase in premature death, to increased incidence of dementia, to sleep disturbances, and so many other conditions.
But Dr. Murthy says it's our relationships with others that have the power to heal.
We are all healers in that respect. And this is a time, I think, when deep healing is needed. And if we can get people to see themselves as agents of that healing through the power of their relationship, then I think we have a good shot really at addressing some of the deep trauma that so many people have experienced in our country.
Some sporting news now, and Barbadian surfers remain in the hunt for top place finishes in the ISA World Surf Games in El Salvador after 3 days of action. Josh Burke was the lone male surfer for Barbados in the morning session yesterday and finished third in round 3. In Heat 1, Burke registered a 9.0 behind second place Jeremy Flores of France with a 9.90 and first place Ryan Huckabee of the U.S. with 10.10. He will now have to battle his way through the repo charge rounds to advance. After his heat in the waters of La Bocana, Burke said he felt a little hard done by the judges.
I thought personally I should have made it, along with a lot of people that have been messaging me, but it's all up to the judges when it comes down to that, and the judges scored the USA guy a little bit higher than my score, but I'm not thinking about that too much. It is what it is, and going into rapid charge round 4, and yeah, like I said, I'm not thinking about that too much, and I'm going to give it my all, and goal is to qualify for Olympics. I know I can do it. I'm the best surfer here when I'm on, and I just got to show my potential, and hopefully everything goes my way.
And Shea Allen also made it to the round 2, and that's round 2 of the repo charge. He finished second with an 8.80 behind Dwight Pastrana of Puerto Rico. And on the women's side, Gabrielle Gittins is into round 2 of the repo charge after finishing second in Heat 6 at El Sunzal with a 3.0. She joins Chelsea Tuak and Chelsea Rowett in that section of the event. Let's go to cricket now, and Shea Hope is in good form. He slammed a century for the Jermaine Blackwood 11 as they took control of the proceedings against the Jamar Hamilton 11 on day 2 of the Cricket West Indies Best versus the Best match at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia yesterday. Resuming on 44 for 4 in reply to 264 scored by the Blackwood 11, the Hamilton 11 were bowled out for 178. Raymond Reefer, Barbadian, top scored with an unbeaten 60, including 7 fours and 1 6. Medium pacer Niall Smith was the pick of the bowlers with 3 for 35, while Keon Harden grabbed 2 for 61 and Shannon Gabriel 2 for 16. Batting a second time, the Blackwood 11 reached 197 for 3 at the close of play with a lead of 283. They have 7 wickets in hand, and Hope is unbeaten on 104, a knot that included 9 fours and 6 sixes. Captain Blackwood is not out on 23, while Kyle Mears chipped in with 40. Now, as the Athletic Association of Barbados continues its track and field competitions last weekend, it was the May Classic that took center stage at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex. The 200 meters particularly piqued interest, with athletes turning in some good times, especially Caron Griffith, who ran a qualifying time for the NACAC Under-23 competitions. We have more from Anne-Marie Burke.
Let's look at the 200-meter sprints. Under 17 girls, and it was this second heat that would give you all the fastest times. Here they come off the bend. As you can see, Josu was making all the running on the inside and eating up the track. Kashana Niles quickly getting that first 100 over with, and then transition into a smooth stride, running away with it. Niles of elite distance makes it a done deal at 26.02 seconds. In for a second, Chrysaria Ballantyne of Quantum Leap, with Danae Niles of Talons taking third. The under-17 boys, and this is where the race really was at. From the outset, Aragon Straker started to make his move on the inside, while on the outside it was Josiah Paris. Off the bend and the race is on. Straker looking to have the edge, but here comes Paris in the red of Quantum Leap. He just punched another gear and it was all over. To the line, 22.32 seconds. Straker right behind 22.62, and Nathan Bradford gets third, 23.57. Into the big leagues, the open women all set to go, and they're off. Who will conquer 200 meters fastest? first 50 pretty even, stride for stride. They come off the bench still on even terms, but just with about 40 meters to go, Aja Foster says enough is enough, and she found that extra nos. Here she goes to lead them home in a time of 25.82 seconds. Amani Karan 26.25 and Shade Worrell 26.39. There were some 6 heats in the open men's timed final, but they always say save the best for last. Out the blocks like a bullet in the middle was Raheem Tate Best, but over his shoulder was a man on a mission, and as he came off the turn, there was no denying it was about him and the clock. Karan Griffith, the knocker on the 23 qualifying mark, was in his reach. It's just a power to the line, and he did it. 20.99 seconds, he has booked his flight to Costa Rica. Our athletes definitely still have it. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports.
And that's the tape on sports. Time now for a look at the weather. It's 27 degrees on the outside, but it's feeling a bit warmer. The apparent temperature up to 29 degrees Celsius already at 6:27. It's partly cloudy, and the relative humidity stands at 63%. The barometric pressure 1013 millibars this morning, and those winds are coming from the east-southeast at 23 kilometers per hour. There will be a high tide at 9:26 this morning. A low tide will happen around 10 minutes after 4 in the afternoon. Those seas are calm to moderate in open water. Swells are right now between 1.5 and 2 meters, but you can expect them to increase. Today we'll get a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief isolated light showers. And tonight it will be a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief isolated light showers. And today and tonight over the Lesser Antilles, partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy conditions will prevail with a few brief light scattered showers. And internationally, wow, it's pretty warm, especially when you look at what is happening in New York and Boston. The precipitation not helping to cool things down there, getting up to 33 in New York, 32 the maximum in Boston, and getting into the 20s, not even breaching the teens as they look at the lower side of things. It will only get down to 22 and 23 degrees Celsius respectively. Montreal a little bit cooler on the low side, but up to 32 as well. Toronto not as warm. In Miami, 28 degrees Celsius. Miami cooler than Boston and New York. And when you look at London, it's up to 25, and Frankfurt too. It will be as cool as 15 and 16 degrees Celsius in both of those European cities. And that's it for this edition of the Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. Mornin Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday, the 2nd of June, 2021. This is Morning Barbados. I'm Pearson Bowen. Good having you company. Welcome to those of you on our Facebook streams on CBC Barbados and Mornin Barbados Facebook programs. Thank you so much. Platforms, thank you so much for joining us. And for you watching us on our YouTube channel, Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, great having you company. Today, you get to meet a Grenadian woman who is living her dream, and she's providing content that allows everyone, everywhere, to see the very best of Grenadians. So we'll get to meet with Letzanne Fletcher in just a little while. We'll also today, with the upcoming tours of the Caribbean by 3 international cricketing teams, get a preview. And so our cricketing analyst will join us to share his view on that. And the question is being asked, where in the world is Jaco? Where in the world? What's he up to? We'll get to meet with Jaco a little later on as well. But let's get started this morning by talking about the story of myasthenia gravis. And one who has found herself living with this medical condition is Deanne Phillips. So she joins us first. Good morning to you, Deanne.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
All right. So for those who don't know, what is myasthenia gravis?
Myasthenia gravis literally means grave muscle weakness, and it's derived from the Latin word. So it basically is a condition of muscle weakness that affects all of our involuntary muscles. So it affects eyelids, you can get weakness in your hands, in your legs, and it can also affect your breathing muscles. If it affects your swallowing and your breathing muscles, then you end up possibly on a CPAP machine or intubated.
When did you realize that you were beginning to feel symptoms that caused concern for you?
I realized in 2013 that I was always feeling tired all the time. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor kept saying, oh, it's your asthma. So I was working at 7 Plus supermarket, and I went to work, and my eye was drooping. And the supervisor said to me, I don't like how your eye looks. Go to the doctor. I went fast track. They sent me to the eye clinic at the hospital. And then from there, I was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis from Dr. Crystal Haynes.
And then when they told you, okay, you know what, Deanne, it's called myasthenia gravis. Talk to me about how heavy that must have felt when you learned that.
Actually, I was relieved because my mother and then the doctors were getting to the point where they were saying maybe it's all in my head. So to have a diagnosis was relieving. And after that, I had never heard about the condition. And my mother is a nurse, so she has the tendency to say, if you don't know about something, I'm not going to tell you. Do research and then come back. So I did some research, and I found out what I could about the condition.
And when you did, what happened next?
It took me a while before I actually believed that I had myasthenia gravis. I was to the point where, because I hadn't had a crisis, I took my medication as I like, and I did not even realize that there would be repercussions. So the repercussions of that were I actually went into a myasthenic crisis, and I landed in the hospital. And I had my first severe crisis on the ward because I was studying for school, even though I was admitted, and I went into a crisis. I literally thought I was going to die, and only to find out that the medication that stops the crisis, I actually get a really bad reaction to. So instead of making everything better, it actually makes it worse.
So now you're on a regime that allows you to be able to function effectively. But what are you still experiencing that for you day by day would create a challenge?
My regime now is a lot easier. The hardest part is remembering to take my medication. So I'm a lot better at it. I work part-time, so that helps in getting rest. Hopefully I will become full-time soon at the hospital, but it's just a matter of listening to my body and knowing when I have to say, okay, you need to rest. And it was also accepting that the lifestyle I had, I could no longer live. So I could no longer, for proper, go out and party 5 nights a week and go to work and still function like normal. I had to pace myself.
And in pacing yourself, you had to give up a lot of the guilty pleasures that you've had. And so now you're on the path towards educating everyone about it so that there's a greater sense of awareness. Do you get the sense that people are listening to you and listening to the message of awareness about myasthenia gravis?
Yes, please. I do get that sense because I have friends who didn't know about the condition, and every year for the last 3 or 4 years, for June, I've made it my mission to post photos about myasthenia gravis on my Facebook, my Instagram, my WhatsApp, and my friends also take the initiative and they post it to their WhatsApp, which in turn spreads more awareness. Last year, I asked all of my friends to wear seals one day in June and to send me the photos and to post them. So I think I'm actually reaching a lot more people. Even at work, people pass me and they're like, I saw you on Morning Barbados, or I heard you on the radio, and I never realized that, you were sick, because we always see you smiling, or you are always walking around like nothing happens, and you're an inspiration and a blessing. So I definitely think I've reaching a lot of people, and I am glad that I'm reaching people, because in reaching people, this can also help to save lives.
Well, that's great to know that people are acknowledging you and acknowledging the message. But, we act in ignorance, us who do not have myasthenia gravis, and oftentimes we misunderstand it and think you're making an excuse by saying you're tired. So what is it that you want us to better understand about the condition and about people who have to live with that condition?
What I wish people would understand is that it doesn't make us any less of a person. It doesn't mean that we can't come and we can't work and have a full-time job. Actually, we are more motivated because we think we have something to prove, and we actually would do more work than a person who is not ill. Just because we say we are tired, it doesn't mean that we are the same tired as you. Our tired can't be resolved from 5 hours of sleep, or our tired can't be resolved from going to sleep at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes our tired means we may get the stipulated 8 hours of sleep, and we still get up tired. Sometimes the tired is not only a physical tired, but it's a mental tired with the battle that you have every day. I'm fortunate that I can still do a lot of my day-to-day stuff, but there are people who have lost jobs because the condition has impacted them so badly. There are people who have lost their eyesight, who are walking with canes. So it takes a toll on not only us, but it also takes a toll on our families, because when we are sick, our families are the ones who have to pick up the slack. So when we say I'm tired or I don't feel well, we don't want to hear you always sick or something is always wrong with you. We don't want your pity either. We just want you to understand that we don't cancel because we don't have a choice. We cancel because our body is saying to us, I can't do it.
So what's the prognosis for you? What do the doctors say?
Well, the prognosis for me is good. As I said, I don't have any progressive symptoms at this point in my life. So as long as I listen to my body and I stay stress-free and stay away from people who have the cold, I can have a perfectly normal life. Because
go ahead.
immune system is compromised, I can't function the same as someone who has a very good immune system. So that is why I tell people, if you're sick, don't come around me. And sometimes people take it for a joke. Until then, I catch the cold, and because my body can't fight it, then I have to end up hospitalized.
There's a Myasthenia Gravis Association here. I know they're a grouping of people who are still agitating for recognition. In this month of June, how are you going to be able to bring greater awareness to our community so that everybody gets on board to join with you in acknowledging that it exists and that we can do something about it?
Well, as you would expect, due to COVID, we are very restricted in what we can do, but we are asking all members to post about myasthenia gravis to their social media accounts. I'm also asking my friends to share posts to their social media accounts. And the organization is actually looking at doing a poem for the members of the organization to write about myasthenia gravis, and the person with the best poem would receive a prize. Usually we have cake sales, we do radio interviews. I actually did an interview with Barnard on 100.7, and I'm also doing another one next Wednesday to help bring more awareness that will be aired on VOD the following Sunday. So we are doing what we can within the scope of COVID, and we just ask that even if you see someone post something about myasthenia gravis or you decide to do a little research, You can post it to your Instagram, to your Facebook, to your WhatsApp, and help bring greater awareness. Because even though you may not think to, may not know anyone with myasthenia gravis, the reality is that there are still a lot of people who have not been diagnosed but actually have the condition.
Absolutely right. Deanne Phillips, I got to leave it right there, but thank you for joining us this morning. We really hope that everybody has greater awareness now, and if they haven't, that they seek the information, because in knowledge is power, and in power there's a lot that we can do. So thank you, Deanne Phillips, for joining us this morning to tell us your story
Thank you for
about surviving with myasthenia gravis. You're very welcome. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Morning Barbados continues right after this break as we turn our first key into finishing strong. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
60 minutes now to go to 7 o'clock. I am delighted once again to have with us this morning as we continue towards you facing your challenges and overcoming them, the author of the book, 12 Keys to a Strong Finish, Dr. Marlon Husbands. Dr. Marlon, good morning again to you.
Good morning, Pearson, and I have you dead center this morning.
Aye,
I
that's
don't
good.
have to wonder where you are.
That's great. You know, last time we met and we talked about the book, I am amazed at the number of people who have called who said, this was so interesting. My friend Norma Hunt and her posse, they said they had forgotten all about Nehemiah. And so in talking about him and how he inspired you for this book, they themselves started to read again the book of Nehemiah. But they're getting themselves a copy of this book as well. So before we get cracking into the discussion about it, I want people to know how to get it so that they can join us on this weekly journey we're taking. So how can we get this copy of the book?
Well, to join Pearson, last week's interview has really skyrocketed sales, and persons are not only getting it for themselves, but they're getting it for others.
Great.
And so I remember I told you that we were about 40% out last week. We are now 80% out, and we only have about another 20% with a new order coming within a week or so. So the way to get the book is to call us. Call me at 232-3961. 232-3961, or you can call our offices at 431-0016. 431-0016.
Great, because in this book, folks, you're going to get step-by-step, day-by-day assistance in helping you to face your challenges and really get down to a strong finish. And you start where you are. So I want to start at number one, key number one. And I'll start at the end, which says, the final word says, burdens cause us to cry unto God and drive us to do our best to overcome. And just to hear that alone for a lot of people, it means a lot. So key number one, see your burdens as a breeding ground for a strong finish. Talk to me about the gems in that particular key number one.
I would want to go to the kickstart to your finish, Pearson. I don't know how you left out the kickstart. The kickstart is a precursor to the first key.
Yes.
And the statement I would like to start by saying is that strong finishes may be predicated on our need for happiness, and that is crucial. We saw last week that it comes on the backdrop of the 1,000,001 things that can happen in our lives. And now we are saying that strong finishes are the backdrop and are predicated by the need for happiness. It goes on to say that there are so many living realities that stand in the way of our happiness, things that are orchestrated to hinder us from feeling alive. And so I just wanted to put that in. And so once we can get that backdrop and get that understanding, we would then begin to understand why it is necessary to deal with your boulders and your burdens.
Yes, you're quite right, because, and as you said, there are things that are orchestrated to hinder us from feeling alive. And sometimes that orchestration happens in our head, but it's also existing in our physical world.
And also, yes, in our environment. So there are many things. So the beauty about 12 Keys to a Strong Finish is that it positions you to finish well and feel alive with every growing challenge, because challenges go nowhere. We do. So we have to make sure that we push past the challenges and we are positioned to finishing strong every race.
So how do I turn it's almost like turning my adversities, but turning my burdens and seeing them in a positive light? What is it that I need to be able to do, and how can this first key help me open that possibility?
A lot of it starts with how we see our picture, how we see our day, how we see ourselves, how we see our lives. So once we can get into our heads, as you rightly said, then you're going to realize that, you know what, this challenge did not come to harm me. It came to cause me to be stronger, to be a better person tomorrow, to be a better person after the experience, because you want to build on lessons. You want to build lessons from your experiences. And that's why when we view our burdens the way they are intended to be, because you remember God said he is not going to give us more than we can bear.
That's right.
So if I understand that God has my back, as I made mention in the book, then I'm going to see my challenges in a fresh new light.
But you know, we're conditioned culturally and otherwise really to view burdens a little differently. You know, we get upset, we feel challenged, and some people want to give up. And you're saying don't give up. See them as opportunities. They're stepping stones towards your success, towards a very strong finish. And that's what the whole thing is. So scripturally, you reference 1 Corinthians 10:13. There's no temptation overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability, which you just spoke about. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape. I think for a lot of us to hear that alone is quite empowering.
Exactly, and that's the thing, because I use the analogy with burdens, boulders, and so on, because the point there is that God is always looking out for you. And you remember the instance with Job. The instance with Job is that Satan said, give me a chance at him. Let me take his life. God said, no, listen. You can only go as far as I allow you. And I think this is transformational, to see that everything that comes our way, everything, God has either released or preempted.
And because you're now speaking about God's authority, you're speaking to God's authority over everything here. And oftentimes when the burdens and those boulders meet us in our way, we think that God has forgotten us. So how do I stay focused? Yeah, go ahead.
I am constantly amazed at the way you have ingested this content. I mean, you're even using my language.
Yes. So tell us how do we stay connected in the source that knows and assures us that, you know, God is still in control. God is the ultimate authority. How do we do that?
By using a key principle that Nehemiah used. And one of the things that amazed me about this man, and I continue to be amazed, is that Nehemiah talked to the Lord about everything. He allowed nothing. Listen, he did not take his own capability in his hands. He did not take a risk on himself. He took every ounce of, and I don't want to say risk, but the management of his faith, believing that God is going to do it for him. And if you look at the things that he was confronted with, you would realize the man talked to God about everything, though, Pearson. And talking to God is not going with some philosophical means. Dear Lord and Father, we thank you today for all the things you have done. All that preamble. He said, Lord, I need help. Help me.
So get straightforward. In other words, get straightforward with God.
Get straight to the point.
Thank you, the way you said that there, because I've often thought, God prefers us to sometimes challenge him, and I'm not saying to be rude, but I'm just saying to be straightforward. Just come and say, listen, Lord, I need your help, God. I need you. I need you to step up and show me, because you promised me this.
But Moses did it. Moses said, Lord, if you kill these people, say that you brought them out of Egypt and couldn't save them. So God is not intimidated by anything we do, and I want people to understand that. God loves us. He is transcendent. He is above us, but yet he is immanent. He is a part of us. And God must be seen in our day-to-day activity, not only when a boulder falls at us and we are in trouble, it has us pinned against the wall. No, even when things are glorious and smooth and easy, get God into the equation, and you will be amazed.
You're almost asking me to repaint the picture and the image of my situation, but also re-image God and God's role in everything in my situation as well.
Correct, because too many of us leave God out until we are desperate, until we meet a desperate situation. But if you make God a normal part of your routine, then when you meet a challenge, it is going to be like water falling off the duck's back, because you're going to throw it at God.
You see, you're making me smile, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
You aren't going to be scrambling looking for an answer. You're going to fall on your knees and say, Lord, help me. God, help me. Like the Pharisee. Yes. I mean, like the guy who said, God, look, I'm a sinner, forgive me of my sins. And the Pharisee saying, Lord, I'm not like him. Just fall on your knees. Listen, God loves us. And if there's one thing that my desire is to talk to God, Pearson, about everything. If my toe hurt, my Lord, heal this toe. If I'm going down the road and I see a situation, Lord, give me wisdom to deal with this. Make God part of your day.
Dispel the fear. Dispel the fear about God. God is not to be feared at all. And when you read in the Bible, fear is not about fear as in the way we get scared. It's about honoring who he is and acknowledging who he is and his awesomeness and his authority over everything else around you as well. In the book as well, in this first key that we're talking about here, you said, God is the architect of our burdens. So therefore, as the architect, he designs the outcome.
It is true. And I remember there was a time when I was at school that I wanted to become an architect. So when I draw on the word architect, an architect is one who goes into the definitives. He looks at the ins and outs of the positioning of the angles of so and so on. So it says that by that statement, God pays attention to the most minute part of your life.
Indeed, he does.
Most minute part of your concern.
So he knows where the windows and the doors and the little cracks and creases are, and he designed it so.
Not only that. Not only that. He knows the creases where the stuff generally lodges. So he knows everything.
He knows everything.
Pearson, I really love to hear you talk to me about this book, though, because you sound like the author.
I know the author well, that's all it is. Now you say your final word, burdens cause us to cry unto God, to drive us to do our best to overcome. There's a call to action. I'm reading this because we're running short on time. There's a call to action for us to speak to God about what concerns us, as you've reinforced with us in this first key, that in everything we do, talk to God. Taught to God. And then you end with a prayer. And this is only one key. We haven't even begun to enter. We have 11 more keys to go. And so we have 11 more weeks to go on this as we move people towards having a very strong finish.
And Pearson, you would know that after the 12th, I did something called Crafting Your Game Changer. And that is loaded with practical ways and elements in which to close your game.
Amen. Now, I don't want people, as you read this book, to see it as, okay, I've covered chapter 1, let me go on to chapter 2. No. Take your time and dwell. Dwell for just a moment and realize the gems and the truths within and the practical ways that you can apply those truths to making a better finish, a stronger finish. And that's what it's all about. The book I commend to you, remember, call now 232-3961, 232-3961, or the office on 431-0016. That's it on your screen. It's called 12 Keys to a Strong Finish by Dr. Marlon Husband's Life Lessons for Facing Your Everyday Challenge. And so every one of us has an everyday challenge. Face it together with these 12 keys towards that strong finish. Get the book, because week by week we're going to be going through key after key to making a better person. Thank you so much, Dr. Husbands, for joining us. I hope that phone rings forever and keeps you really, really busy.
But the last time we were on interview, the phone rang about 3 times while we were still on interview.
Yes.
So it is really, my heart is pleased that locals are beginning to appreciate the value of local authors.
So am I. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right. There we go. So, folks, the number again, 232-3961 or 431-0016. Let's get our good decision of the day. Right here, brought to you by Glucerna, with those nutrients to support your immune system. It says, making the right decision. Every choice comes with a consequence. Once you make a choice, you must accept responsibility. You cannot escape the consequences of your choices, whether you like them or not. That's a quote from Roy T. Bennett, that every choice comes with a consequence, so consider it when making the right decision. That's your good decision of the day, brought to you by Glucerna, with the nutrients to support your immune system. A break, then the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Still to come on Morning Barbados, you meet a Barbadian woman who has won the prestigious Engage in Pittsburgh Innovative People Practices Award. Her story is going to be enlightening. She's coming up. Right now, it's time for us to get the very latest in news. Once again, here's Shane Seeley.
Yes, leading our 7 a.m. headline news, the Prime Minister Mia Motley speaking out, condemning a Bajan dance hall video containing violent lyrics. Saying the matter has made it impossible for her to remain silent, she expressed horror at the video and is disappointed in the artists involved.
These artists, many of them, have labored in the vineyard, struggled in the periphery, and have reached a point where they have achieved, in some instances, national acclaim. But national acclaim carries with it the burden of responsibility. And while there may be some who may claim that there is artistic license for artists, let us remember that not everyone in our society understands the use of artistic license or sarcasm. And that is why, for example, we often have to speak recognizing that there are some among us for whom there is not the maturity or not the wisdom to recognize that this is not how you behave in a civilized society.
Ms. Motley says there should be a zero-tolerance approach to gun violence in Barbados, and she also says government will not support anyone who fails to apologize.
I'm not asking you to apologize to me nor to the government, but you need to apologize to the people of Barbados because there are too many victims of gun crime in this country, as recent as today. And this country cannot in any way have any level of tolerance for anyone who promotes gun violence in any form. Well, I don't even like toy guns, far less real guns. And the bottom line is that we also have to recognize that persons who have put this video up have a responsibility to take it down. And in addition, therefore, to the apology, I expect you to take it down.
And the church has joined the chorus of those criticizing the Trojan Rhythm Mix video. Anglican Bishop, the Right Reverend Michael Maxwell, has called for it to be removed and an apology issued from the artists involved.
I personally believe that our nation deserves an apology from these artists for producing and releasing such a distasteful, vulgar, and uncivil video with such a high level of obscene language that sends a negative and damaging message viral as it incites immorality, gun violence, the seeking of revenge, and taking the lives of those referred to as informants or snitches. You know, what struck me the most was that one of the artists in earlier years penned a song with the hook line, "Me not know how the youths get so." And the answer is there once again. They have gotten so because of the negative influences they receive from many of us, who as adults should know much better.
The COVID-19 positivity rate here in Barbados continues to move in the right direction. And the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Kenneth George, says health officials are doing all in their power to ensure the downward trend continues.
Fortunately, within the last 2 to 3 days, our positivity rate has been trending downward even further, which we are very, very happy about. But it is not a time to become complacent. So therefore, we urge all Barbadians, first, understand what you can do at a personal level with respect to making sure that your families and households are safe. Understand where your shelters are so that if that is necessary, you can proceed to the shelter and you know where you can ride out a potential storm.
And finally, we hear that for 2 consecutive days, Sunday and Monday, Barbados did not record any new cases of COVID-19. The Best Dos Santos Public Health Laboratory conducted 367 tests on Monday. There are currently 39 people in isolation. And Barbados has recorded a total of 4,017 confirmed cases of COVID-19 since March last year. 47 people have died from the virus. The Public Health Lab has carried out a total of 170,840 tests. The number of people vaccinated under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19 is 78,633. These include 60,721 people who have received both doses of the vaccine. And that's your 7 a.m. headline news for this Wednesday. I'm Shane Seeley. Back to you, Pearson.
Thank you, Shane. It's 5 minutes after 7 o'clock now. We are going to take a break here. When we come back, a winner in you in our Crumbs question of the day. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 7:07, time for you to win now with Crumbs Bakery in today's Crumbs question of the day. Get on the phone and give me a call on 228-5562 or 228-5563. It's a simple question. It's going to quiz your history knowledge. Here's today's question. What was Bridgetown originally named as? What was Bridgetown originally named as? Haha, gotcha now. 228-5562 or 228-5563. What was Bridgetown originally named as? And certainly when you win, you're going to win with Crumbs Bakery. Crumbs, absolutely delicious, right down to the very last crumb. And they have a range of cakes and pastries, all of those great things. And so we're looking forward to you experiencing what I've experienced as well. Good morning to you. Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, how are you today?
Not too bad, and you?
I'm doing very well, thank you for asking. So do you think you know the answer to the question?
Is it called Little Bim?
Don't ask me questions, you tell me.
Little Bim?
Little Bim? You think that's what Bridgetown was originally named as?
Yeah.
You are so wrong, I can't even tell you otherwise. You're laughing, you're wrong here. Thank you so much for trying though. 228-5562 or 228-5563. The question is, what was Bridgetown originally named as? I told you it's going to require you to be a history buff of sort. So 228-5562 or 228-5563. It's not Little Bim. That's not the answer at all. So get on the phones and give me a call now. You get a chance to win a great gift package from Crumbs Bakery. Good morning. Hello.
Hi, good morning. Is it Corey?
Don't ask me questions. You tell me.
I'm just telling you there.
What's the answer?
Corey's Town.
I didn't hear that.
Corey's Town.
Coleridge Town? Why would you say that?
Because he asked my husband.
Listen, do not refer to your husband anymore. Your husband is wrong. I'm sorry to have you and him burst your bubble like this, but he's wrong here. Sorry, sir. Sorry very much. You're so wrong. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Come, y'all. Watch where you go. Your husband may not be right. The wife may not even be right herself. So check your history. What was Bridgetown originally named as? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Good morning. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. Morning. First name? What's your first name?
Nicole.
Hi, Nicole. What's the answer?
Little Bristol.
Nicole.
Yes, please.
Bridgetown or Speightstown?
Bridgetown.
Was Little Bristol?
Yes, please.
Holding on to that, Nicole?
Yes, please.
Let it go. You're wrong. Nicole, don't hold on to that at all. It is not Little Bristol. I want to take one more call. One more call. Come, y'all, man. You guys know the answer here. What was Bridgetown originally named as? 228-5562 or 228-5563. All the fun we're having here, you will have when you enjoy all of the Crumbs Bakery's products. There are so many. And once you walk in, you'll see the menu. Select what you want. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, what's your answer?
Indian Bridge.
I beg your pardon?
Indian Bridge.
Again, I beg your pardon. Where did you get that from?
I did a research.
Where did you do your research? Talk to
On
me
Google.
on Google. You think I can't tell? On Google you did your research, but not bad. Not bad at all. What's your first name?
Colleen.
Colleen, so what do you want me to tell you now, Colleen?
I'm a winner.
Colleen, you're absolutely right. You are indeed a winner, Colleen. Well done. You're absolutely correct in saying the original name was Indian Bridge. Colleen, do you know why? No.
No.
See? I know your answer already before you gave it to me. Thank you, Colleen. You stay on the phone right there, though. We'll take some information from you because we want to make arrangements with you to collect your winnings from Crumbs Bakery. Remember, folks, Crumbs is absolutely delicious right down to the very last crumb. So the answer is Indian Bridge. Another question tomorrow. That means another winner in you. Well, let's keep going this morning as we take a look now and turn our attention to recognizing an outstanding Barbadian woman. Good morning today to Sonia, what's her name? Sonia Lane Gartside. What a different name. Good morning to you, Sonia.
Good morning, Pearson. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming through. Thank you so much for taking our call when we reached out to you. You were there in Pittsburgh, and I'm thinking, my goodness, even though she's not here, she's over there still winning awards. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And
Now,
good morning, Barbados.
Thank you so much for joining us. I am so pleased to let everyone know that you are a past student of the Alexandra School. And I say that with pride because it's a northern secondary school. It's a sister school to my school, Coleridge and Parry. So for me, yes, see, I'm very, very proud of you indeed. Now tell us, what was it that you entered or you were nominated for that you won?
Well, I was nominated, unbeknownst to me, for Leader of the Year in the Pittsburgh Human Resource Association's Engaging Pittsburgh Innovative People Practices Award. I was very, they usually say, I'm so honored to be nominated. In this case, it was absolutely true because I had no idea. And I was just feeling so touched when I realized that one of my past clients had nominated me. And that's how I got put forward. And obviously it goes before their committee. And then I was selected as one of the 3 finalists.
So then when you got the news, okay, Miss Lane Gartside, you're one of our 3 finalists. That also meant quite an achievement for you. But then you won.
I know. It was, and and obviously due to COVID, it was online. So you didn't know if you won based beforehand. And given the, where, the multi-million-dollar global corporations of the people I was up against, I didn't necessarily think that I would have won. So when I did, I felt very honored and very appreciative that people are recognizing my work and appreciating the evidence-based practices that I like to preach and practice with my clients.
Because you've also written a book that says how to refuel workplace anxiety, how to refuel and re-engage. Tell us about that book, because I'm sure it also encompasses a lot of the passion which you hold for refueling and retooling.
Yes. So I work a lot with leaders in global corporations. And anytime you're in a corporation, there's stress, right? And so my job, and because I focus so much on people, how to make them productive, how to ensure the systems within organizations are set up for people and employees to thrive, I deal a lot with how do you operate at your best under pressure. And one of the things that is essential that I have to always, in terms of my training, my coaching, my consulting, is that resilience is really about how you recover. And recovery is so essential to be able to give your best under pressure. And that's where my book came from. How do you take the anxiety, the uncertainty, the pressure to perform and to succeed, even though you have less resources? How do you take that and be able to thrive and perform? And the way to do that is to know how to refuel and re-engage so that you can be always up to your top shape. I like to say that to be a leader, you have to be physically, mentally, and emotionally ready to lead. And that's what my book is all about.
And that book we can see right over your left shoulder right there on your shelf. So. See, there it is. Yes. My sister is going to chide me for this. She says, Pearson, stop looking into people's houses. But I couldn't miss it right there on their shelf. But that's good.
Oh, good.
But you're into HR practices and you consult with global organizations. So you're not just keeping it to yourself or to those who reside with you in Pittsburgh. How has that been for you, though, being able to reach across the waters everywhere to ply your trade?
I think the foundation for it obviously came because I'm Barbadian, nurtured, educated in Barbados. So the moment that I stepped outside of Barbados, then my focus would have been global and not necessarily local to where I was, because that's how we are raised and educated in Barbados, right? To think globally and then focus in on how we can apply best practices locally. And so when I came here, that was always going to be my focus. And because obviously based in the United States, where there's so many global organizations have their headquarters here or have a part of their organization here, that was much easier for me to do from this location.
This pandemic has forced a lot of companies to revisit what's important. And a lot of time in that revisiting, you're hearing technology, and you're not hearing people. How are you, what kinds of advice would you want to give to any company today who are reimagining how they do their business, and how do you see the factoring in of people in the process?
Well, people are so important because people obviously can either help or they can hinder. And I'm a change manager as well. Once I deal with people, there's so many areas that I have to be experienced and have expertise in. And my change management projects generally are all technology based. And the reason why I'm hired is because for it to succeed, they want me to come in and figure out how do we get people to engage and adopt the new technology. And so one of the things that I always have to say to organizations is that, yes, you may have the best technology, but if your people are not on board, if they don't see it as something that they can utilize to perform better, then you're going to waste all that money and it's not going to manifest the way that you want. So people are very important. It's critical that you establish psychological safety within your organization. And when I say that, I mean where people, when they come to work, feel that they can bring their full self, they can feel that they can belong, and they're not in your organization basically sitting down thinking, I will be better off someplace else. Because you're not going to get the best from your employees if they're thinking that. And too many people throughout the world, and it's not a Caribbean phenomenon, it's not a US phenomenon, it's a global one. Too many employees come to work thinking, I would be better off someplace else if I can only figure out how to get there. and until I do, I'll stay here with you and just bring your organization down.
You're so quite right on that score for real. But you know, a lot of times the people who control the business see that employee engagement to be costly. You know, because now you're saying to me that cost of doing or not doing is also costly. So what's your best advice to a regional organization today who is struggling with this dilemma? We want to keep people engaged, but it's costing us.
So when I'm dealing with things, it's mindset, tool set, skill set. So the mindset that organizations need to adopt first is that it's an investment. So it's not a cost, it's an investment that will pay off. And so if you have inclusive leaders who understand that their primary job is to maximize and pull all the value that every employee has and bring it to accomplishing organizations' goals, if you invest in that, it will pay off. And obviously it's going to take some time because you've just spent the last however many years stepping on employees and basically telling them, we don't need your special talent, we don't need you to speak up. So it's going to take some time and investment to now turn that around and say, hey, yes, we want to hear your ideas, we want your innovative thoughts, your creative thoughts, and we are going to utilize them. So that's the first thing I would say, make the investment. And then once you make that investment, then when you get someone who knows definitely how to ensure that you engage your employees, then that journey will be so much easier. But it turns on understanding that this is an investment that will pay off in the future. And it's not a transaction that you go into a store and you hand over money and you're immediately going to get some sort of product or service. It's an investment that will pay off in the future.
Lord knows my hope is that so many leaders hear that today, that it's an investment and it will pay off in the future. Sonia, we're so very proud of you. You know, you came by way of the Alexandra School, you're from Barbados, and they're looking at you and say, but that's Sonia Lane. She's now Sonia Lane Gartside, if you're so pleased.
Gartside.
Yes, and so a couple questions.
You can drop the married name. I will always be Sonia Lane.
So a couple questions I want to ask you quickly. How long has it been since you've been back to Barbados, by the way?
I spent winter in Barbados. So I spent 4 months in Barbados. I've decided that winter is optional I'm a Caribbean woman. I come from a lovely island, so I decided I don't need to spend winter and COVID in the United States. So I spent December to April in Barbados.
So my question's been nothing. I was going to ask you, where would you want to go? What would you like to eat? Because you've been here so long. All right.
Well, I would like to come back.
We'd love to have you back for real. Sonia Lane Garside, thank you so much and congratulations on your award. You know, we are so immensely proud of you, and so when I saw the story, we had to celebrate it and let Barbadians know that we have a Barbadian there in Phillips, who is doing some great work. And so continue doing the great work that you're doing, Sonia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Sonia Lane Gartside is her new name, but her name is Sonia Lane from the Alexandra School. She's just won the, let me get it right, the Pittsburgh Engaging Innovative People Practice Award, and so we commend her today. A break, and when we come back, we'll meet this fascinating Grenadian woman.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 24 and a half minutes now after 7 o'clock. We will get to that. What are we going to go to? Where do we go to, Andy? You tell me. All right. I think we're ready. We found her finally. We're going to introduce you now to a Grenadian woman because we wanted to also celebrate excellence across the region. And when we see it and we recognize it, I think it is something to celebrate. And it doesn't matter where you're from. Once you look like us, we want to celebrate you. Letsan Fletcher is one such person. She's from Grenada. She operates her own platform, Letsan TV. She's been doing a lot of great work in Grenada, showcasing the best of Grenadians and telling the Grenada story as well. Letsan Fletcher, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. All right, we're having a little bit of connectivity issues with Letsan. She'll resolve that. We'll resolve it with her. But it's 25 after the hour. So in the meantime, if we can flip across then to our next guest while we try to resolve this one with Letsan. And we asked the question at the beginning, where in the world is Jaco? Jaco Lawrence. We found him. Good morning to you, Jaco.
Morning, Pearson. Morning, Barbados.
It is so good to see you again, Jaco. You have grown up, yo man. You're a big man now.
But you know what? I was asking myself if I have permission to call you Uncle Pearson.
That's all right. I'll live with that. That's fine. That's fine. But it's good to see you yet again, Jaco. You have been doing amazing work over your lifespan. And how would you describe yourself now?
How would I describe myself now? Just as willing to learn as I was when I first became aware of the idea of learning.
I like that. So just as willing to learn.
And just trying to stay humble, you know. So that's where I remain right now. And enjoying the journey. You know, when you speak of my lifespan, you make it sound so extravagant, but really, my life is a lot different.
Yes,
Again, because I'm always learning.
Yes, we remember you so well. Well, here at the CBC, you know, we know you as a little boy growing up, and we saw your development before you hit the international scene as an international recording artist. But then we Barbadians got to see exactly who you are when you hit that international stage as a recording artist. And we all went into hysterics because we saw the best of who we are.
Wow.
And talk to me a little bit about that earlier stage of your journey when you began to create in that kind of way to display your talent.
Well, my journey with music had started way before it had reached an international level. You know, it was something that was born out of a sincere love for it, love for a gifting that was nurtured by both my parents, my mom and my dad, and that's really what led me towards the, you know, international success, so to speak. You know, just really staying in the love of it and for the love of it. And eventually that grew into something that was, I guess, what we would consider worldly acclaimed.
Yes.
And I continued to let the love for it drive me to all areas of success. And again, ever since then, it has been a learning experience, and it has been a great experience.
What I love is that you reference it to be a worldly acclaim, because who you are now is vastly different from who you were then. You have decided to do a full 180 to become a Christian. So let's talk about that decision.
How can I? Maybe I should write a book about it.
Yes, maybe you should.
But
yes.
Again, I can say that throughout my journey in life, and I make it sound like I'm like 50 years old or like I've already lived. But throughout my journey, I found my identity in Christ, and for me, that has brought about the greatest peace, the greatest assurance, and it is from that place in which I now live. My journey there was probably as up and down as any other person living, having gone through the paces, going through the difficulties of, you know, trying to fulfill what I perceived needed to be fulfilled within me. And eventually I surrendered my life to Christ, and again, that's now the place in which I live.
That's so wonderful. Was there any fear, any concern, or was it just jubilation when you made that decision?
I would say the fear of letting go of my life, absolutely. But you know, the Bible says if you love your life, you lose it. If you, I'm paraphrasing, but if you don't love your life, you keep it for eternity. So I'm rested in the Lord's will for my life being greater than my own.
So walk me through now what you're doing now, Jacob, because your talent, you cannot hide it under the bushel. It has to be allowed to be at all. So what are you doing now?
I am being as productive as possible. I've been working with other artists. You know, I'm placed in a position where I can mentor others. I just recently released a project of my own entitled Rhythm-Minded. You can get it on all streaming platforms. And it's basically, as I said, I would write a book. That's basically my journey in song form, from then till now. And you know, it's crafted in a very creative way. As you mentioned, I'm extremely creative, and I've been leaning on that to, you know, to be the vessel of which I would carry all that's within me. So again, I've been extremely productive in music, and also exploring all areas of my gifting and you know, the other areas in life that will help me to achieve the utmost.
This project of which you speak, this production you've put out, I know we hear it, we play it on 94.7, the best 24/7, the fully 100% Bajan station. And 100%. Your integration of your gospel, your telling of your story through gospel is done in a way that it still is relevant to every age range. So it doesn't seem as if, oh my gosh, you know, I don't want to hear the cymbal beating, you know, Bible tapping kind of gospel. I just want to have a most inspiring song. And that's what you do already. You said you should perhaps write your book. If you were to write that book, what would you think to be the title?
At this very moment, I would probably name it "Minded," which is the title of my album. And again, you can get it on all streaming platforms, iTunes. Obviously, thank you guys have been playing the music. You guys have been a huge supporter of mine for you know my career's lifespan. And yeah, that would encapsulate it perfectly at this moment. And until further notice, that is what I believe it will be.
That's great. So, what do you dream for your future, Jacob? What do you see that to be?
Wow, what do I dream for my future? To simply fulfill my purpose here on earth. And again, that may mean many things, but to me, that is where the rubber hits the road for me. That I would have done all that I was asked here to do on earth. That's my dream. No further dreams, no bigger dreams.
Your mission was to serve His name, and you're doing all that you can while here on earth in your time, in His time. And that's absolutely critical. Impacting other people's lives, though. How has that been for you, and what are you doing so that you can bring others with you on this journey towards Christ?
Well, again, I am grateful to have a gifting that allows me to reach many people. We all know that music is such a universal language in itself, and that has opened the doors for me to perhaps tap into areas that others may not necessarily have that opportunity to. Not that I believe that I am better than anyone else, but again, I'm really trying to use what God has given me to reach people. And in practicality, that has allowed me to mentor others. It has allowed me to have platforms such as this to speak to people. And the outworking of it is up to God. But again, I'm just using what I have to really do my best to make an impact in others' lives.
You know, to say we're immensely proud of you is not to say enough, but we know we're very, very, very pleased with everything that you've been able to achieve thus far. And I know that there's much success because God sees the growth in you and He will increase it. And so I'm looking forward to, and before we get to that point, I remember there was a session we had here in this very studio in the CBC. Your mother was present. And so she said, right. Joanna, good morning to you. And she said, you know what, I think I should invite my son to do a prayer. And she put you on the phone and you prayed for the corporation. It was a most moving and uplifting prayer. Everyone was silent while they salivated on the words that you used. Jacob, it's such a powerful gift that you have. And I know that through your talent, you will continue to impart wisdom and inspiration to so many others as well. As young as you are, there's a lot that God expects of you. So use your time wisely, which I know you are, because He expects much of you. To whom much is given, much is expected. So Jacob, thank you for joining us. Well done on the journey thus far, and we are happy to walk lockstep with you into the other stages of your journey as well.
Thank you so much, Pearson, for those words. And that is such an encouragement to me, because even before I came on here, that was exactly what I had said to myself. That was exactly what I had quoted. So for you to say that to me, it's even a greater confirmation as to what the Lord is doing, and by His grace alone, I walk, not in my own strength.
That's right. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Love you, Pearson. Love you, Barbados.
Back to you, brother. Thank you so much. Isn't he just refreshing? He is so refreshing. What a way to be a part of our day today. It's 24 minutes to go to the hour. We're back after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I tingle with excitement because I could not wait to meet this next guest, who is a Grenadian woman who is living her dream and providing content that tells the story of Grenadians. And so this morning, my pleasure to say good morning to Letsan Fletcher. Good morning, Letsan.
Good morning, Pearson. I am so happy here with you this morning. Good morning, Barbados.
Thank you. You come so highly recommended. You know Kenroy Batiste, my friend, who is in the business as well. And Kenroy has always said, Pearson, have you ever met Letsan? She is par excellence. She is just so good. Stop blushing.
I am blushing, let me tell you, and I'll probably keep blushing until... But
so
thank
Letsan,
you to my brother.
you're very welcome. You know, Letsan, you said you live your dream. From a little girl, you've always wanted to be a TV star. And I say, wow, you live that dream today. So tell us a little bit about you before we get into your current projects.
Absolutely. Well, you know, ever since I was a little girl, you just prompted me there for that. You know, there's two things I wanted to be. I always wanted to be a TV star, and I always wanted to be Wonder Woman. Yeah, it goes way back. But you know, and you know, in early stages of my life growing up, I was always involved in culture.
Mm-hmm.
Culture and the arts, you know, from the children's carnival, from like being on stage, moving on to pageantry in Grenada, and then representing Grenada in Caribbean pageants as well. You know, I just knew from the get-go, this is what I wanted to do, and this is where I wanted to be. I always wanted to be, you know, in the presence of other persons, always making people feel happy and always entertaining. And you know, like they say, the rest is history. I mean, my journey started, I would say, since the early, maybe about mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
And that would cover everything and anything regarding to media. So whether it's voiceover work, to a radio program, to hosting live events, and ultimately, you know, pitching to do a live television show, which would go on to run for a decade.
Yes.
I mean, I was really in my element, so to speak.
That show was Chit Chat, which you pitched then. Yes, I've done my work. And so...
You have. I'm impressed.
Why that kind of format in your television journey, though? Because, you know, you could have done any other kind of show.
I could have. And if I can let you in on a little secret, you know, initially when I pitched, I really wanted to do a show for women. So everything that encompassed being woman. But we, you know, we had a little negotiations here and there, and then we came up with Chit Chat. So it's a partnership with Flow, Grenada Cablevision then. And, you know, it was really covering, I used to call it the show that featured everything Grenadian and more. Mm-hmm. Because apart from featuring someone's aunt or sister or schoolmate on the program, I also extended my reach to, let's say, Grenadians in the diaspora and even non-Grenadians who had a story to tell, a story to share, who had experiences that left them in a better place, you know, that sort of thing. And these are the feel-good stories that I always wanted to share.
And now in telling that story, you've migrated to your own platform, Letsan TV. I just love the name. I mean, it plays on your name, but it's just naturally flows from the tongue. You said she's still into pageantries because you can tell. But here it is now. You're doing Letsan TV now, where you create your own, because it's so important for, I think, the creative to be able to say, this is my space where I can tell my story in the way I want to tell the story without having to be pulled by someone somewhere in the shadows. So let's talk a little bit about Letsan TV and what that platform now allows you to be able to do.
All right. So, and you know, the journey really changed because obviously from doing Chit Chat 10 plus years ago, a lot of growth has happened. You know, with me as an individual, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, you know, I think that now I have much more to share in terms of experience and deeper and meaningful conversations, Pearson. So Letsan TV, like the tag states, it's all about life. So it's about the life champions. I think, Pearson, you would have spotted one of my episodes recently.
Yes.
So it's about that individual who would have been knocked over and then came out triumphant just from guts and faith, you know, and the will to go on And then there's also We Cookin', the We Cookin' series. Pretty self-explanatory. It's about cooking and it's about local, regional, international cuisines. And it's really starting to, pick up momentum and just blossom into something bigger. So there's lots more for that. And then there's general lifestyle, any little thing from health tips to fitness tips. And mind you, person, I reluctantly launched Alexan TV smack dab in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
Because I thought it was so important. There was so much darkness everywhere, worldwide. And I questioned myself and I'm like, is this the right time? Is this the right time? I don't know. Everyone is so consumed now with so much was going on.
Yes.
But then I stepped back and I said, you know what? What we need now is entertainment, yes. But what we need now more than ever is uplifting conversations, inspiring stories.
Right.
That make you sit and at the end of a conversation, it's completely relatable to each and every one. And it makes you say, I know exactly where that person is coming from. So in a nutshell, that's what Lexan TV is about. It's about life. It's about life. It's about the ups, the downs, the fun moments, and of course, tasty food.
And you tell your stories so very well because I've watched the programs and I could see the benefit from watching it. What I also like to watch is that I'm a Barbadian, but the story is not rooted in nationality. Those stories that you tell, while they expose what's happening in Grenada with the people of Grenada, it connects with the human spirit and the human endeavor. So it doesn't matter where you're from, you benefit from it through Letsan TV. So for those Barbadians who are watching us this morning here and abroad, and they're thinking, so where can I find this Letsan TV? Because I can't find it on my MCTV channel or local cable provider here. How can we find your content?
Yeah. All right. So for now, Letsan TV is Facebook, the mecca of all social media platforms. It's lexantv.com. Anything you want, person, you got to go on Facebook, you'll find out, right?
Yes.
So it's on Facebook. And also, we're constantly building and updating the YouTube channel. I've got some more mature friends and acquaintances who said, listen, I want to have nothing to do with Facebook. Can you do it on YouTube? So YouTube and Facebook is the go-to right now. And Pearson, you never know. The sky's the limit.
That's right.
You never know.
That's right. So we're looking forward to seeing it in another way. So Letsan, what do you think you've learned about yourself in all of this journey, though, in your life? What have you learned about yourself?
Oh, I love this question. I'll tell you why. Because after doing a show for 10 years and then having a break for, let's say, a hiatus for 3 years for personal reasons, it really taught me that you have to know your passion and you have to believe in it. Never break up with your passion. I always say this, take a break from it, reinvent a little, but never break up with it. And I've had moments of self-doubt, where I said, I don't know if this is going to work. There's so much content now. There's so much things happening now, but it really taught me that, what? I still bring content to life that people want to hear.
Yes.
So it's really about it's a project of love, Pearson, and it's a passion project for me because I do it from the heart. I always did it from the heart, and I will continue to do it from the heart. That makes me happy.
That's a powerful, powerful statement for any broadcaster, and I'm glad you said it so that others watching today can learn from that, do it from the heart. You also said that you'd like to have to empower women to be their best selves. What else is Letsan, because you seem to be able to find the time to do everything, be mother, wife, producer, run your own business. What else is Letsan doing to be able to meet that one where you empower women in Grenada?
Pearson, I think you have some inside scoop somewhere because I'll tell you what, I am constantly not just working on making myself better, but constantly trying to figure out how can I give back, how can I reach out, how can I empower? And all I can tell you is there is something in the pipeline. There is something that will be specifically targeted to women because like I told you in my past story, I've always wanted to do something for women. And I think it's so important now. So there is something in the pipeline. I'll tell you this, Pearson. maybe we got to do another redo after this one, and I update you on what's to come.
That's a promise.
I'm gonna leave that right there.
That's a promise. Letsan Fletcher, it is such a joy talking to you. I've so looked forward to this moment.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm glad at least I've lived one of my dreams to meet the great Letsan Fletcher of Grenada. So now we want to... Behave yourself, girl. We now want to encourage everyone to really go find you on Facebook, Letsan TV, on Facebook and YouTube. And again, immerse yourself in the content to get to know the story of others, get to feel their journey as well, and see yourself perhaps lived through another person's experience and find your own strength from that other person's experience as well. But Letsan, thank you for doing what you do. I look forward to interacting with you even more, and I just only want to wish you the absolute best. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. This has been an absolute pleasure for me as well. And I'm so happy to share my story, not just with Caribbean nationals everywhere looking at your fantastic morning program, by the way, but also folks in Barbados. To anyone who I know in Barbados, I just want to say hi, greetings from Grenada. But thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here this morning, sir. You have a great day.
You're very welcome, Letsan Fletcher. Thank you for joining us. Letsan Fletcher from Grenada. What a beautiful smile. What a beautiful personality as well. Great content as well. Letsan TV on Facebook and on YouTube. 11 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock. We're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we'll look a little bit towards what's coming up in the cricket series by those 3 international tours coming up. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
9.5 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock as we begin to talk things cricket with our cricket analyst, Pedro Agard. Pedro, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson.
I know when you listen to radio, you listen to cricket commentary, Pedro Agard has an opinion on everything. Everything that's happening on the field and around cricket as well. So it's good to have you, Pedro. I want to look at cricket, which resumes in the Caribbean in a big way this month alone with 3 international tours. There's South Africa, Pakistan, and Australia, right, coming to the region. What do you think would be the West Indies' chances at winning any of these series?
Well, it will be tough for certain, but I think that they have opportunity here against South Africa to really reverse history. History is not against them. History is against them in that they've so far played South Africa in 28 test matches. South Africa has won 18, West Indies have won 3. Of those 28 matches, there have been 6 series contested. South Africa have won 5, and West Indies just won that lone-off test here against Nova in 1992. And one of those series was a 5-0 sweep in South Africa, that 1999 series. So they have an opportunity here, especially against South Africa in this test series, to really build some momentum and take advantage of a South Africa team, which is also in a very interesting stage. They're also rebuilding. When you look at the squad, they have an 18-man squad. Now, that 18-man squad, 6 of those players are going to be on debut, and there are going to be 6 other players with less than 10 or less test matches on their belt. So against South Africa, a very good chance to make a mark on the test arena. They're presently rated number 6. South Africa just won under at number 7. But I personally wouldn't read too much into that, just for the simple fact that South Africa hasn't played a lot of cricket since 2019, probably just about 7 test matches where West Indies have played 8 test matches in the last year alone. So opportunity definitely in test cricket to catch up with the rest of the world. The T20 series in Grenada later on this series, they should manage their own. I mean, I think the rating where West Indies rated probably 10th in the T20 doesn't reflect how good the T20 side they really are. But yeah, definitely playing at home, an opportunity to really make a mark in the World Series again.
Talk to me about the West Indies team. I want to look at our team now for just a moment because, you know, for a little while they haven't inspired us with any confidence at all. So what inspires you about the team now, and who are some of the stars that we need to pay attention to?
Well, I think everyone is paying close attention to Nkrumah Bonner and Kyle Mears for obvious reasons. They're new into their test careers. Kyle Mears with an average of 66 after 4 tests. Nkrumah Bonner is averaging about 62 after 4 tests. Bonner's made his first 100 the recent series. Kyle Mears, you all remember that, 210 in Bangladesh. So eyes will be on those too. But I think the whole region would expect or hope that a Shea Hope will find his way back in the side after especially that performance he put in so far in this best of the game, a 79 in the first innings and then 104 yesterday. So they'll hope that Shea Hope can make himself into the test series for Baden along with skipper Craig Brathwaite, and that those two can set a platform. I think eyes also will be on the bowling unit. Roach will stand up for himself. Jason Hall, the former captain. Eyes will be on Gabriel, who left the field yesterday, clutching back his legs, so he will be a little iffy. And I think Azari Joseph, who has not really lived up to the billing and the potential seen at the Under-19 World Cup. And if it was up to me, I probably wouldn't have Joseph in my starting lineup unless Gabriel is significantly hurt. So, you know, those are guys that you want to keep an eye on. Blackwood, again, had a good series in New Zealand and not in England, but in Bangladesh and against Sri Lanka, he struggled. He's the vice captain of the side the last series. That team will be selected on Friday, so he'll probably be vice captain again. So those will be the people you have to keep your eyes on for certain.
Have you been paying attention to the preparation for these series? And if so, what do you see that builds confidence in you that the guys are really match fit and match ready?
Well, I don't know how match fit they will be at this stage. I mean, some of the guys, Craig Brathwaite, is just out of England, Kemar Roach as well as Azai Joseph. They're presently involved in a 4-day best versus best game. Jermaine Blackwood was a Jermaine Blackwood. I mean, Jermaine Blackwood will always be Jermaine Blackwood. But I think for me, Shea Hope stood out not just because of the runs he scored, but the way he accumulated those runs. What we are seeing now is a Shea Hope who's come back into 4-day cricket looking a lot more positive. He's actually batting along the lines of what he's done in the 50-over format, where he has scored pretty heavily. And I think that is good signs for West Indies, because if you go back to when he scored those 200s in Headingley, he was always looking to score. When he lost the split, I thought that we saw Shea Hope was looking to survive. So Shea Hope looks really, really good. You can't say too much about him. John Campbell, although he's had his struggles, didn't look too bad with his innings so far. But I think a lot of interest will be on Seals, the fastball from Trinidad, who's really, really showed in this trial game that he can bowl quickly. He called Shea Hope I watched some of the game yesterday, and he was giving Shea Hope a little bit of hustle there. At the beginning of the innings, some short balls, very hostile. So really good signs there in that our bowling department finally looks as if we have fast bowlers who can do the business. My only concern really would be our spin department. I think the wicket at Darren Sammy's Stadium usually is green, quick, and bouncy, and our spinners don't really impart a lot of turn on the ball. So that's a concern. Cornwall has done his business when he's had to, but his strength is really bounce more than turn. We saw Warwick bowl, not a lot to show about there. So I'll say that the guys who were expected to perform are doing the business. Mears and Bonner, unfortunately, haven't had a good time this match, so eyes on those. But if you're asking me what I've seen positive so far, I think the stand-up definitely will have to be Shea Hope.
You know, you've walked into everything I wanted to ask you about. I mean, this man just covered all of my questions in one fell swoop wax. And there was I watching the clock and thinking, so what are you going to ask next? You know, that's all right.
Well,
so I have a question for you, though. Give me then your predictions in a few seconds we have remaining. You have 30 seconds. Give me your predictions of each series. Who will be the winner?
I think West Indies should win the South African series. As I said, because they have home advantage, and they are a unit, probably more gel at this stage than the South African side. The T20 series will be interesting. Don't think we'll have to play all of our skins to compete against Australia in those ODIs, and against Pakistan. Listen, depends on which Pakistan team turns up, because you can get a Pakistan A or Pakistan B on any given day. So I think home advantage will play a part. They have to focus on this South African series. If they can get off this South African series with a victory in this test series, it will go a long way to the morale of the team. And I think this home series will be really, really exciting. And trust me, you don't want to miss it.
I don't think we do want to miss it, indeed. Pedro Agar, as always, thank you so much for joining us today. Of course, you know, you'll sit close because there's a lot more we need to talk about. And there's a lot of cricket, so we'll talk some more about that. Thank you so much, Pedro Agar, our cricketing analyst here on Morning Barbados this morning as we get ready for those upcoming series here in the Caribbean. That is a wrap on it for today, everyone. We want to thank you so much for joining us. The crew thanks you too. We do look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And again, thanks to all of our guests who've joined us. I want to commend the book to you, 12 Keys to a Strong Finish. Call now and place your order. We're back tomorrow, should God spare life. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.